Hi, everybody. It's Heather Summers, your senator from the 18th District, and it's October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I have the honor of speaking with somebody who is in our district and also a good friend of ours. Her name is Bree Foster. She's a nurse. They are recent additions to Connecticut. They haven't lived here too long. And Bree self-diagnosed herself, found a lump, and was diagnosed with breast cancer at 30 years old. So I wanted an opportunity for Bree to share her story. She has a really interesting background, being a nurse also, and just talk about what she went through, how she decided to do her breast exam herself and then get follow-up, and what life has been like going through breast cancer treatment, and now that she has had her successful treatment, what life looks like for her. So I am honored to be here this morning with Bree and her beautiful baby daughter. Welcome, Bree.
Hi,
how are you?
Thank you. Good. How are you?
Good. So we're just here to really talk about your experience, and you have a lot to offer, especially for younger women that may not take having breast cancer seriously, thinking, oh, that people that are older need to get mammograms and things like that. So why don't you just share your story, and I'll just stare at your gorgeous daughter.
Of course, yeah. Well, I was kind of one of those people. I never thought we don't have anyone in our family that has any kind of cancer, so this was never even on my radar at all whatsoever. But I was, we had just moved up here, and I had just started working, and the girl that was orienting me, she just found out her sister had breast cancer, and they kind of were similar. She was in her 30s, they had no family history. So, and she found out just doing like a self-exam, which I never did, and it kind of scared me. I'm like, oh man, I never do self-exams. So that day in the shower, that night, I did a self-exam, and I found a pretty big lump, which at first I kind of was thinking that I was imagining it, because I'm like, there's no way, but it was pretty big. So I went and got it checked out immediately, and it turned out to be stage 3 already, a pretty aggressive cancer. So we started treatment, and
So you had just moved here. Mm-hmm. You were in Connecticut for literally just a little bit. I'm not sure how long. And you started your job. Mm-hmm. And one of your colleagues' sisters had breast cancer, and you were just having a conversation about it. And it made you think, oh, geez, I never do my breast exam. I better go check. And that night, you found something.
Yes, that night.
Wow. You have to wonder if that was meant to be, that you had that conversation.
It did feel very much meant to be. Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah.
So where did you go for treatment? You went to your local doctor, and then where did you have treatment, and what did the treatment entail?
So yeah, I just I didn't have a gynecologist, but I just found a gynecologist nearby. They sent me in for a mammogram, ultrasound, and then immediately set me up with an oncologist, and actually at the time a reproductive endocrinologist, so that we could do fertility treatment or fertility preservation.
So talk to the people watching about that at a young age.
Yeah.
Being a nurse, you understood what could happen when you're going through chemo or radiation. So
so all of those treatments can affect your fertility permanently. Not always, but there is a chance. So I was 30 at the time, and we kind of were thinking about having kids. So obviously that got put on hold, but we were able to do freeze embryos and just kind of have like a backup plan in case
it did affect your fertility.
Of course, yeah.
So that was really interesting information. Did you know that as a nurse already, or was that something that you learned when you went through the process?
It's definitely something I learned going through the process. I kind of assumed that it would affect my fertility, but I just didn't know all of the details and how serious it was and what kind of treatment. Because not everybody has to have chemo. Some people, if they catch it in early stages, they can just get, but they can get a mastectomy. Or they monitor long term. They can take hormone therapy, things like that. So everybody's treatment is different.
One of the things when I was talking to Dr. Blue over at L&M, he's the head of radiology, he was expressing the same sentiment that you are, that if you were somebody who had maybe gone in or had done your self exam and found this when it was smaller, there's better chances of not having to have such aggressive treatment depending on what kind of type of cancer that it is you're diagnosed with.
Correct.
So you went, and then what hospital did you go to have your treatment? Were you able to do that locally, or did you have to go to Yale? Or?
So initially we went to Yale, and I kind of got my treatment plan set up there. And then I was able to go to the Cancer Center in Waterford to get my infusions so I didn't have to travel so far. So it was infusions like every 3 weeks at first, and then every week for 12 weeks, and then every 3 weeks after that for like a year. And the surgery I had was at Yale, but most of this stuff I was able to get done locally at Waterford. And then the radiation was also done in Waterford.
So the whole process from the time that you were diagnosed and then your surgery and all your treatment, how long did you have to be treated for the type of cancer that you had?
It was a little over a year. So I think I was diagnosed in April of 2017. And I think I finished everything. My surgery was actually on Halloween that year. So Halloween's always a big day for us. It's my cancer-free.
Right, absolutely.
That was like no evidence of disease. And then after that, I had infusions. They were kind of like immunotherapy type infusions for the specific cancer I had. And I got that done until the following July.
So talk to us about the treatments. Like, what were they like? What did you experience? I know that many of the women that we've talked to, when they first hear the diagnosis that you have breast cancer, the ones that I've talked to have said it's like they're not hearing anything else and you just are frozen. And then you're so concerned about, the treatments and how you're going to feel, etc. Do you want to share what that experience was like?
I definitely experienced that tunnel vision hearing thing where just everything kind of shut down. But my doctor at the time was pretty good about it. Like, he kind of explained things, and then he was like, here's my number. Call me whenever you're ready or when you're at home with your husband, and we can go over all this again. We went through all the treatment options. Of course, right initially, they don't know what your options are until they have, the biopsy comes back and you see, what it is. And then you have to get like bone scans to make sure that it's not spread anywhere else, and MRI, CTs, all those things. So they scan your whole body, do a bunch of tests, make sure that it's not spreading all around your body. And then I did chemo followed by surgery and radiation. Hi.
So you experienced all the different treatment options.
Yeah, all the different treatment options. But in my case, I kind of assumed I would have to have a total mastectomy. But I was able just to get a partial mastectomy, and I'm still able to nurse because of it.
Were you working through the whole time of your treatment, or were you able to take some time off? Or
luckily, I was able to take a little time off. I tried to work just kind of part-time in the beginning, but the hours I had to drive
because you were working far away, right?
Yeah, my workplace is like an hour away, and once it started getting darker earlier, it was hard to see at night from some of the side effects of my chemo. It would kind of give me blurred vision. So then I just kind of took a break, and then the following, when did I start again? January. I went back to work. Yeah.
Can I steal her?
Yes.
She's so cute. Come here, baby. Hello.
So let's see.
You smell like your mama. Wow.
And I just was very fatigued easily, so I could climbing upstairs to go to my room would be like enough for a while.
I can imagine. Well, your body's getting a lot of different things put into it to fight the cancer. So
yeah, it was tough, especially prior to the cancer. I was pretty healthy and active. I was a runner, and so going from being able to run half marathons and then to not even be able to climb up my stairs was pretty difficult.
Right. So you had a good support system around you, your husband and friends.
Great support
even though
system.
Your family wasn't here.
Yeah, but they definitely, my sister was living in DC at the time, and her boss let her come up here anytime she needed. So she was up here all the time. I had family that would just come visit. My in-laws were really helpful as well. And even the people that live around that we had just met were a really great support system.
That's nice to hear.
It is. We
That's
moved
nice
up
to
here
hear.
from Texas, and it's funny because everyone was like, "Oh, you're gonna go up there with those Yankees? They're all rude." And
We're not rude.
but all of our neighbors were like nicer than anywhere we've ever lived.
That's
So it
funny.
was just really funny. Just
Maybe they just say that in Texas because
I
they
think
want
so.
everybody to come live in Texas. So.
yeah.
So, what would you say to people that are watching your story that are young women that maybe feel they don't need to get a mammogram or they don't take, doing their self-exam seriously? I know I didn't when I was young. I was like, whatever,
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't either until this whole experience. Even if you don't have a family history, just always do your self-exams. You literally, if I wouldn't have done a self-exam, I mean, it was a very aggressive type of breast cancer, and I probably wouldn't have gone to see my doctor for maybe another year because we just moved up here. We didn't even have a doctor yet, so it probably would have been by the time I was due for anything. And who knows, I might have been stage 4 already, and
and it could have spread.
it could have spread at that time because I definitely had a lot of lymph node involvement. So it was definitely good that I caught it when I did.
Now that you caught that, does your sister and your other family members, are they active in getting their exams also?
Yes, and they get mammograms yearly. It's funny, one's in the military, so every time she moves to a new place, she's like, I need to get a mammogram. And they're like, you're young, but
Right.
no, I have a family history of it.
So I think that's really important. I think a lot of the younger folks that I talk to think, oh, if I don't have a family history, it's not something that I need to do. I'm just, hi, I love you. You're so sweet. You're so sweet. You're just so incredibly cute. I can't get my hands off you. How about as a nurse, what would you tell patients that you see as a nurse, that how important it is? What would you tell people, because I've been asked, if I'm feeling my breast and I'm doing my self-exam, sometimes I don't know what I'm feeling and I feel things. Should I go to the doctor? Should I not make a big deal about it? How do I know what I'm feeling? I hear that a lot.
Always, if you're not sure, go to your doctor because they can do an exam and they'll be able to tell you, this is nothing, or maybe let's get some imaging done and see if it's something. It's just so much better to know.
Right.
And that way you can get it treated. And the earlier you detect it, the better it is.
Right. They were saying the earlier the detection, the survival rate is like 92%.
Yes.
And as you wait and wait and wait, it really significantly drops. And now talk about the best part of your life these days, which I just don't want to give back. You want to go see your mama?
Yeah.
So after all of that, your, forward thinking and being able to freeze embryos, etc. Now you have this wonderful little addition to your life.
Oh my gosh, she's the best. She's the sweetest, happiest girl, and I really don't think she would be here if I wouldn't have done that self-exam that day. Really, truly.
Isn't that amazing? You think about it, you just happen to have that conversation
Yeah.
sort of randomly in the hospital, and that really sparked everything. Thankfully you had that and
Yeah.
you listened, and
Yeah.
it really seems unreal though that
It
you had
does.
the conversation, you went home and you found something that night.
It does. I really thought it was I have a tendency to have these hypochondriac thoughts, especially you see so much as a nurse. You're like, oh, I have that, I have that, I have that. And I called my husband up. I was like, do you feel this or is this all in my head? And he was like, oh, no, I definitely feel that. Yeah, it still doesn't feel real. This year is 4 years being cancer-free. So
Congratulations on Halloween, right?
yes, on Halloween.
So coming up, her 4th year anniversary of being cancer-free. And I forgot to tell you that Bree works in labor and delivery. So she's around women and babies all the time. So, I know that she's a wealth of information. And we're just so happy that everything has worked out well for you and Chase and this little peanut who is just adorable.
yeah.
So thank you for joining us and listening to Bree's story. We thought it was important to share. Somebody in our district who's young, who has experienced this, and just by almost happenstance had a conversation with a nurse she was working with, and the nurse mentioned to her about her sister, and she went home that night and did her self-exam and found something, and has really been through a lot, and now is the proud mom of this beautiful little one who is just the center and the apple of everybody's eye. She's so sweet. And what would you say in closing to anybody getting a mammogram? Some people are afraid that it hurts, and I just did a mammogram live to show people it does not hurt. It feels a little awkward, but it doesn't hurt. The people are wonderful that set you up.
So nice. Oh my gosh, the nicest people that
Right.
that run those machines and that do the screenings. But yeah, it doesn't hurt. It's a little uncomfortable. It's a little awkward, but it's
you can
really
do it in 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's so quick. It's so easy. Just get it done and do your self-exam, right? Because you just literally never know.
Right.
No
It can
family
absolutely
history.
save your life.
It really can. 30 years old, no family history. All the genetic tests were negative. It just was
Really?
Wow. One of those things.
Well, we're so glad that you're cancer-free and that you're here with us, and congratulations. And
Thank you.
we'll all celebrate with you on this October 31st, which is coming up really soon. So
Yeah.
thanks for being with us, and we're going to have you back when we talk about other women issues, okay?
All right.
All right. Thanks so
Thank you.
much. Bye-bye.